Editor from HackTheBox is an easy-level Linux CTF all about program enumeration and public exploits. The foothold involves enumerating a web server on a non-default port that is running a vulnerable version of XWiki that allows us to get remote code execution. From there, we can look around on the box until we find a config file containing a cleartext password that is shared with the Oliver user account on the box. Once we have access to the Oliver account, we will discover that our group permissions grant us the ability to run ndsudo as the root user. The version of ndsudo has a privilege escalation vulnerability that will allow us to spawn a shell as root and own the box. With our machine spawned and IP address known, let's get started. The first thing we want to do once our machine spawns is run a TCP nmap scan. So we'll be running sudo nmap, the IP address of the box, against all ports, and saving the output in all formats to nmap-tcp detailed. We're also going to run common scripts, do service enumeration, and try to get the operating system of the box. Once that finishes running, we see that we've got SSH open on port 22. We have a web server on port 80 and another one on port 8080. It looks like the web server on port 80 redirects us to http editor.htb. So we're going to want to add that to our etc host file. And the web server on port 8080 looks like is hosting a service called XWiki. So first things first, let's edit our etc host file. And let's make sure that the IP address of our box has the editor.htb DNS name in this file. And now in a browser, if we go to editor.htb, we are met with a web page that lets us download a simplest code editor. So if we wanted to, we could go ahead and download these files. Could potentially do some reverse engineering against these executable and deb files to maybe find some sensitive information, but it's unlikely because these seem to just be code editors. So let's explore the web page a little more. The about page doesn't seem to have anything except for this potential email of contact@editor.htb. At the bottom of the footer, if we hover over these links, we see that there's also another link to the contact@editor.htb email. If we hover over the documentation, we see wiki.editor.htb. So we could add that to our etc host file and see if that gives us a new page. And we can do that by just going down to the entry where we have editor.htb, tabbing over once, and doing wiki.editor.htb. If you didn't discover the wiki page this way, you could have also brute forced it with a tool like fuff. We can just apply fuff with a subdomain brute forcing word list, set the URL to http editor.htb, and set the host header to fuzz.editor.htb. It's going to come back as everything being a hit with a file size of 154. So we can just filter that out with a -fs 154. And you almost immediately get hit with the wiki.editor.htb page as well. With nothing else on this page really to look at, let's go ahead and take a look at that wiki page. And here we're met with an XWiki page for the Simplest Code Pro wiki. So just a wiki page talking about what Simplest Code Pro is and all of its features. There's a page that brings us to an installation instructions page. And all this page is just telling us how to install the Simplest Code executable. We see the page has been edited by a user called Neil Bagwell. There are no comments or attachments, and there's no other versions of this page other than the one we're on. If we click on this drawer on the right, we see that we have an ability to log into the page. And this just looks like a standard login page for XWiki. But something that is interesting is at the bottom we see we have a version of XWiki that's running, which is XWiki Debian 15.10.8. So something we could do is look if this version has any proof of concept public exploits by just doing the XWiki Debian 15.10.8 exploit GitHub is my go-to. The AI overview tells us that there's a remote code execution vulnerability, CVE 2025-24893, that affects our version of XWiki. If we scroll down, we get a bunch of GitHub links for this vulnerability, and we even have an unauthenticated RCE exploit proof of concept right here. We get a brief explanation of the CV in the overview here, saying that it is a critical RCE vulnerability in XWiki caused by unsafe Groovy expression handling inside the Solar search macro. So we can inject Groovy code through a crafted GET request, leading to remote code execution without any authentication required, which sounds perfect for getting on the box. So it looks like all we have to do is download the Python script, start a netcat listener on whatever port we want, and the script will ask us for a target URL, the IP address that we want to send the reverse shell to, and then the port number that it's listening on, and we should get back a reverse shell. So I'm going to go ahead and download this Python file. In another tab, I'll start a listener on port 7777. Then we can go ahead and run the script with Python 3. Our URL is going to be wiki.editor.htb. We are 10.10.15.146, and we're listening on port 7777. And it looks like the first time that I did it, it failed because I had a leading / in the exploit. As you can see right here, it's a double / XWiki. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to use the wiki.editor.htb without an extra / here. The exploit gets sent off, and we have a exploit delivered successfully. And if we go check our listener, we see that we have a shell as the XWiki user. If we do an ls, I don't see a user.txt file. If we go to home, there's the Oliver user. But we can't cd into Oliver. So it looks like we're going to need to get access to this Oliver user before we can get the user flag. Let's first upgrade our shell to an interactive shell with Python. So yeah, it looks like our user does not have the ability to go into the Oliver directory. So we're going to need to find a way to get access to Oliver. We can do that by running through our Linux privilege escalation methodology. We can see which users in etc passwd has a bash shell available. And it looks like it's just the root and Oliver users. We can see if our user can run anything with sudo privileges with sudo-l. It looks like we don't have any sudo privileges. If we look at the etc host file on the box, we just have editor, editor.hdb, and wiki.editor.hdb. So we found all of the vhosts that were available. Let's check our environment variables to see maybe if we have a home directory. It looks like our home directory is varlibwiki. So let's go ahead and go there. Since we're pretty locked down to this XWiki user, and they don't really seem to have any privileges against any other users, our best bet is to probably look for any credentials in any of the XWiki files or any of the web files to see if we can move laterally to another user. One way I like to look for sensitive files in an application that I've never seen before is by just Googling it or asking ChatGPT or another large language model, and just asking something like, where would an installation of whatever service we're trying to enumerate, in this case XWiki Debian, store cleartext credentials. And the first result is checking etc xwiki for a hibernate.cfg.xml file. So let's go ahead and head on over to etc xwiki and see if a hibernate CFG XML file exists, which it looks like it does. So let's cat that out. Actually, instead of just looking through it manually, why don't we grep for the word pass? And we do seem to get something that looks like a password at the very top, which is the editor team99. Let's try to get one line above that password to see what the user is that's associated with it. And it looks like the username is just XWiki. But rule of thumb, when you find something that looks like a password, always try it against all of the other users that exist on the box, because chances are that there's some shared passwords. So let's try to switch our user over to Oliver and supply the editor team99 password. Trying to do a switch user fails. So let's go ahead and try to SSH as Oliver at editor.hdb. Supply the password with the editor team99. And we get logged in. If we do ls, we get the user flag, and we are able to read it. As a sanity check, I transferred over linpeas and ran it as the XWiki user, and I was unable to find any indicators of that password file being a hit. So this is definitely something you would have had to find manually. So that is why in my methodology I have for all the services that exist on the system, especially ones that we have access to and potentially gained a foothold over, like XWiki, you look up either using Google or using AI if there's any configuration files that could store cleartext credentials. Anyway, now that we're the Oliver user, it is time to do our real Linux privilege escalation methodology. And for me, that always starts with running linpeas. So let's host a Python web server in the directory where I have my linpeas shell script. If we can download that with curl by outputting the file linpeas.sh from our web server, let's make that script executable by doing a chmod +x linpeas.sh and go ahead and run it. Starting from the very top, we see that our user is in the net data group, which could be an elevated group that gives us privilege escalation opportunities. First, see that the operating system is Ubuntu Jammy. So we could look that up to see if that has any privilege escalation vulnerabilities. Under active ports, we have some internal ports, including what looks like a different port for a MySQL database. We also have just a normal MySQL database port. We've got 3 ports listening locally. I'm not sure what they are, so that could be an opportunity to do some enumeration. This MySQL version tag tells us that there is MySQL running on the box. We've got some unknown SUID binaries. We can also take a look at our bash history to see if that gives us any hints as to where we're supposed to be looking. And since we're in this net data group, we see a bunch of files that we have access to that we can read and execute in this op netdata user libexec netdata plugins d directory. Running sudo-l tells us that our user is unable to run anything as sudo. We can also check for SUID binaries by doing a find against the root directory, setting the type to file and our permission to the SUID permission. And here we see those same netdata plugins that we saw using linpeas that we're able to run with the SUID permission set because we're in this netdata group. Out of these in here, the ndsudo one looks the most promising. So let's go ahead and check if that's in GTFO bins. For those that don't know, GTFO bins is a list of binaries that if you're able to run as SUID or have permissions to run with sudo, there are abilities to escalate our privileges to root through these binaries. So we can go ahead and type ndsudo into the filter, and we get no matches, unfortunately. But just because it isn't in GTFO bins doesn't mean we can't abuse it to escalate our privileges. One thing we can try is looking up ndsudo privilege escalation exploit GitHub, and we see that a CVE does exist. CVE 2024-32019, netdata ndsudo privilege escalation. If we read the summary, it says this CVE is a local privilege escalation flaw in netdata's SUID helper ndsudo that lets a local user execute arbitrary programs as root via an untrusted search path. It affects netdata agent versions higher than 1.45.0 and less than 1.45.3, and also versions greater than 1.44.0-60, but less than 1.45.0-169. So let's see if we can determine the version of this ndsudo by doing a -v, maybe a -- version. I am not sure how to check the netdata agent version on the box, so I'm going to go ahead and look it up. And it looks like we can do so through the command line using netdata -- version, or by going to the 19999 port and clicking the netdata logo in the top left corner of the dashboard to see the version number. The easiest option is to try netdata -- version, so let's go ahead and try that. It looks like the netdata command line tool is not installed. If we do recall that port 19999 was running on the server, but if you didn't remember, we can do a netstat -ln to look for listening ports. And we see locally there is port 19999. So over on the right here, we can port forward that port 19999 to our local host on port 1234 by using the Oliver credentials. It'll redirect us to that 19999 port on the box. And they said we have to click the netdata logo in the top left corner to get the version number. All right, so clicking this logo in the top left did nothing. Thank you, AI. But this nice community post tells us to go over to the nodes tab and click the info button. Based on this screenshot, it looks like that right there. So I went ahead and did that under the local node, clicked on the info button, and it looks like we're on netdata agent version 1.45.2, which, if we check back with our exploit, is in between 1450 and 1453. So this should be vulnerable to this CVE proof of concept for privilege escalation. All that just to tell us that we're vulnerable. Obviously, you could have just blindly ran this exploit against the system and you would have gotten your root shell, but that's how you confirm that it is vulnerable to this vulnerability. So let's go ahead and clone this repository. Do that by doing a git clone like this, cd into that folder. Now it says we need to compile the payload like this and set the output to NVMe. So now we have our NVMe executable. The next step is to upload the script as well as the compiled binary to the victim machine. So let's go ahead and start a web server in this directory. We'll first download the script, and we'll transfer over the compiled binary. Just for good measure, let's go ahead and make these both executable. Doing a chmod +x on both of them. Now we just execute this script, and we should get a shell as root. sh. So like that. And it looks like it worked. Let's do a who am I, and we are the root user. Go ahead and cd into the root directory, and we can cat out that root.txt. So that is the editor box. I hope you enjoyed. If you found this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll be uploading more Hack the Box walkthroughs in the future, as well as just some general hacking tutorials and tips. Leave a comment down below for a video you want to see next, and join my Discord if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.